Weep for Toyota, man, they'll never have such a chance to win. Weep for the 5 who in 2 laps wipe their manufacturer's grin. Brace yourselves and bump yourselves, take all of the spots you can get. And waste your shot at winning while Chevy takes and leaves you with regret. Bubba, it's not your fault but mine. Round of 8 was on the line. I really effed it up this time. Didn't I, Toyota? Didn't I, Toyota?
Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Front Stretch Happy Hour program. I am your host, Mr. Bryan Nolen, alongside my weekly, every single Tuesday compadres, even though one of them was a little bit late, 60 seconds late, Mr. Dalton Hopkins. I'll bring you in first then.
Get away with this guy.
It is off to the dungeons, young man. 60 seconds. We are early, and if you are not early, you are late. Disappointed. Oh, okay. Okay.
Not, I have nothing to say. I have no excuses whatsoever. It's off to the Front Stretch Dungeons I go.
Okay. Guy that is usually in the dungeons, but he's not this week. That is being Mr. Michael Massie, who just got back from Martinsville. I can't believe he got run because rain was in the forecast all weekend. But hey, you made it, and you were there. And how was it?
I mean, I didn't just get back from there.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
The rain delay wasn't that long. It felt like it was that long. But, yeah, the Martinsville Late Mile race, it's truly one of my favorite races to cover. And it was a photo finish. It was one of those have you ever, no, I never type of finishes with Landon Pendleton and Lee Pulliam, who Landon called Lee the GOAT of short track racing. And, like, it was cool to see him. The dude has raced like 2 times in like 6 races, and he's been super competitive. Or 2 times in the last 6 years after like semi-retiring, and the dude's still so good. But yeah, if you can ever get out to that late mile race at Martinsville, do it. It's so much fun.
Was our boy Doug Barnes? Was he racing?
Doug Barnes was racing.
If you know, you know. And a guy that we know very, very well. We see him usually at the track every time that one of us is at the track. That is the guy that's had I mean, he's a jack of all trades. At Ryan Vargas _23. Ryan, I mean, you're a racer. You're in the garage. I think you've been a spotter a couple times. How do you characterize what your job title is?
Oh, man. My job title is driver of things, and my job title is driver of things and hat wearer, I guess. Sure. It's just been a very busy year, a lot of travel, a lot of exciting things on the horizon, and just been a very good last several months racing up in Canada and racing some ARCA, which I didn't anticipate really doing much at all this year, and also getting to work with drivers like Ryan Roulette and Jeremy Clements this year on the spotting side. It's just been a really, really good time.
I think my first question is, how do you put up with Gabe Wood when you're working with Jeremy Clements? Because good God,
barely.
That guy, I'm telling you what,
barely.
Yeah, I know. I think my first one before I ask these two if they got any questions is you mentioned racing in Canada. What's just like the biggest difference racing up there compared to racing in whether it's Xfinity or ARCA or whatever? Just what's the biggest difference?
Look, I've been on record saying this a couple times, and I'll say it as many more times as I have to. The racing in Canada is some of the most fun I've ever been a part of in my racing career. You have realistically, 10, 11, 12 cars each week. I'd say 9 to 12 cars each week that realistically, if you place them in the front of the grid, they have a legitimate shot at winning that thing. And I'm very proud of the effort that myself, my Critical Path Security Canada team with DJ Kennington Racing, just getting to work with DJ, Rick, and the whole bunch there. They're just top-notch organization. And for the first time in my, in my career, I was able to kind of go out and really be in the top stuff, right? We had some issues here and there, but other than that, we unloaded every race with a legitimate shot at a top 5, a podium, and on a couple chances, a shot at a win. And I think that was one of the coolest feelings as a race car driver, one of the most rewarding feelings as a race car driver that I've had in a really long time.
We talked about it at Kansas, but like, what was probably I'll give you an easy one. What country had the best food that you visited while in Europe?
Good question. Good question.
Oh man. I had a really good steak for like $20 in the Czech Republic.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Germany. I love going there. There's some really, really good food there. Poutine in Canada, I'm in love with it. I've definitely gained a few pounds because of it. But yeah, I would say Germany probably has the best overall food. But my best plate was probably in the Czech Republic.
Okay. Have you picked up any new languages, some new words and phrases here and there?
No, you pick up on things, right? You pick up on things. You're able to pick up on what guys are saying, and usually it's not the good things. But it's been fun to work with some really incredible folks. Especially on the Euro side and up in Canada. Racing with Blake Mullen's Race Planet, DJ Kennington Racing. Those guys. It's so funny. You talk about culture differences, but at the same time, they're so similar. Everybody's so similar. We're all out there racing, all grinding it out. We all have a very similar sense of humor. It's funny. The American NASCAR garage humor that you see here, it carries over there, and same thing up in Canada. So it's a good time, and I'm very fortunate to have all the, I would say now lifelong friendships I have, both across the pond and up north.
Those guys speak French on the DJ Kennington team?
Not on DJ's team.
Okay.
They are just like me. They don't know much if any French.
Okay.
And I'll tell you this: going into Quebec this year, and all the street signs are in French, just completely French. I could not read it. I was very much relying on Apple Maps there to get around.
I love
would be something. Dalton, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. I love going playing racing sims and doing GT cars on European tracks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta ask, what was a track in Europe that you found the most? I guess I don't know if challenging is the word. Maybe the most fun to learn being in a stock car.
Man,
you can list multiple if you want.
I was gonna say Brands Hatch. We ran the Indy circuit, which is the smaller circuit. I think it's only 1.2 miles long, 1.1, 1.2. It's like a short track, but the elevation change. It's a right hand turning oval for the most part, with a left hander thrown in there, and that was really fun. It felt like a roller coaster every lap. Oschersleben in Germany was a really, really fun racetrack. Really like Zolder. I would have to say those three were probably some of my favorites. Definitely Brands Hatch probably is at the top of that list. But I mean, in terms of just how these tracks are, Valencia, Spain, the grandstands wrap around the track. It's nuts. It's a road course with a stadium atmosphere. It feels like, it's a Bristol type feel, when you're at Valencia, just going into turn 1 and seeing the grandstands wrap all the way around. It's a pretty unreal visual, and I highly recommend anybody on here either go watch the NASCAR Euro race, or if you want to see the place completely slam packed and full, watch any of the MotoGP races that they do at Valencia, because it is hundreds of thousands of people strong, just slammed into that facility.
Obviously, you've ran ARCA this year. Everybody gives ARCA, well, most people give ARCA a bad rap just because you have cars that are just so different. And so, like, you got cars that are way fast, and then you got cars that are way slow. From your point of view, where do you see ARCA in today's day and age? Do you see it getting better? Do you see it getting worse? Just where do you see ARCA?
I think in some ways, like I really have, after driving ARCA this year, I have grown to have a massive appreciation for the series, how it's ran, how it's operated, how those guys, do the run of show, the run of everything. And I think the on-track product is better than we give it credit for. And I think that's really just because you have the 28 and the 18 car stinking up the show. If we're just going to be honest here, they're on another planet, and that's fantastic for them. They found something, and it's incredible what they do. But I think at the same time, you have all that engineering that's been put in that, you have all that, but then you compare that to the teams that are working out of their garages in ARCA, right? And even the smaller teams, I mean, I hate to call it a small team, but you look at Andy Hillenberg's team, they're a 4-car operation, but they don't have the R&D, the data and all that stuff that those bigger teams have. And so you get that disparity there. You get that range of speed, even to the cars even further back in the field. So I think that's one of the things that I think fans have a tough time grasping, is the fact that the racing is actually pretty good. I went into it expecting it to be like truck racing, where it's incredibly hard to pass, aero wash galore, which it is. They're aerodynamic bricks. They have that flat right side and the big spoiler, but they race good. I ran Kansas in the spring and intermediate, and then I ran Salem, and then I ran DeCoin on dirt. And so you talk about 3 radically different racetracks to go drive for the first time. And it's been an absolute pleasure to work with Michael Maples and Maples Motorsports, and both as a spotter and as a driver. And it was really rewarding because Michael, Jeremy and everybody there, they're building this team from the ground up. They're starting completely green. And every time we've unloaded, every time I've raced with them, we've been the best of the rest. The next cars ahead of us are the Veneriti cars, right? And so that to me speaks volumes of what their team is able to accomplish. And I think that that's something that's really exciting for those teams to have that bar. And I think that's where, I appreciate the existence of those higher up cars in that sense, because it pushes all the smaller teams to be better. Now you have those few that are out there, a lot more off the pace, and, that's, so be it. Right. I'm not going to really comment on my thoughts there, but it's at the end of the day, we're all out there trying to race and trying to make a name for ourselves and trying to have fun. And everybody has a different way of doing so, but I'm going to vouch for ARCA, and I will continue to vouch for ARCA after working in the series, having raced in the series. I think it's a great product. I think that, obviously there's things that could be different, just like any racing series. Even at the top level, there's things that can be different. It's just about trying to find that balance between the super mega insanely fast rocket ships and the slower cars towards the back of the pack, right? It's trying to find that happy medium between those two.
I can't wait to play the new NASCAR game coming out, and then just absolutely struggle in the Arkham Menard series and run 20th place. And just run for pennies and just try to do the grind, just try to grind my way to the top, because I want to feel that. I want to feel that authenticity.
Yes. Yeah. I've heard a lot of positives of the NASCAR 25 game. I haven't played it myself.
Are you going to be in it?
No, I'm not at the moment.
Come on.
I didn't run into National Series. Everybody looks at me as an Xfinity driver. I haven't touched an Xfinity car this year, man. I only got a couple more races to go.
Ryan, I look at you as a driver of things.
Exactly. And that was my tagline before I got in here.
I was wondering. Go ahead,
I will
Ryan.
be talking to Michael. I've been thinking about it. I'm definitely going to talk to Michael, because I saw that you could have different drivers per car. So I was going to say about getting the 67 car from either Kansas or DeCoin or Salem in the game. So that might be something that might be my next project there. So we'll see.
Well, it's an absolute immediately. It is a travesty that you're not in it. But
I will be. We'll see.
Okay, when they add the Euro and the Canadian Tire series at some point, they'll add you.
1,000%. I think my last question, and then we'll see if the other two have any final questions for you regarding this topic before we move on. You mentioned no Xfinity starts. Any rumor, anything up in the air potentially for these final few races?
Always. I'm working on Martinsville right now.
Ooh,
that's one that's on the table. But if we're being honest here, when you're living the life of what I'm doing, every race is kind of on the table, right? It's kind of a situation of have race gear will travel. But I'm very content with how things are. Obviously, you want to be out there, you want to be racing in those series, but I guess you could say the landscape of the NASCAR Xfinity Series has changed so dramatically in the last 5-6 years to the point where, you see guys like myself, Brad Perez, Preston Pardis, guys who are kind of working in the garage trying to do more, Logan Bearden, guys like that, Dawson Cram. You don't see guys like us get as many opportunities as maybe we would have 5-6 years ago. And that's simply because of just how different the landscape of the Xfinity Series is today.
Yeah.
Well, as long as you stay busy, buddy.
Oh yeah. And that's the plan. And I'm happy with how busy I've been. I've been doing a lot of really cool, fun projects that I've been spending this summer on. Got a lot of cool things up, down the way. And I'm just really excited about, just continuing to do more in NASCAR, in motorsports, trying new things, because at the end of the day, there's not one foolproof way to make it in motorsport anymore. You have to be dynamic. You have to do different things. And that's why you see me, jumping over the pond and going up north. And I'm actively talking to teams in Mexico and Brazil. Like, I want to do things different, because if I do it the same as everybody else, nobody's going to care.
Yeah. Well, I'll say I miss you lapping me every week on iRacing.
That's a pretty low bar, buddy. I mean, I feel like a lot of people lapping Michael Massie. So,
nah, it's fun. The old M&R days, the last ever champion right here. That's
nice. Right on.
I think I'm like the least most controversial champion in the last 4 seasons of that. But
that's a good thing then.
Yeah,
it was usually
guys wiping each other out, for the championship, and meanwhile I'm just scooting away on old tires, so it worked out.
The funny thing is, back then, there's this guy in that series named Shane Van Gisbergen who affected a championship race.
He affected a championship race, and he pissed me off so many times. And then I saw him on the entry list for Chicago 2023. I'm like, this guy, what's he think he's gonna do? And then he goes and wins the thing, and now I'm like, oh, he's kind of I already knew he was a badass. But, now it's everybody knows it.
I think that's a perfect transition to segue into our second topic of the evening. Massie, did you want to bring up SVG, or was that Mr. Dalton Hopkins?
I can. I don't.
Okay, sure. We throw topics up in the air and then we just go for it.
And then we catch them. We catch them as they come back down.
Sure.
So Shane Van Gisbergen, the guy came into last year with little to no paved oval experience, and now all of a sudden he got a top 10 this past week at Kansas. Just the evolution of him in these past 2 years has been crazy to watch. And I'm going to say, I think, next year, if he, does the same thing, wins some road courses, gets in the playoffs, another year under his belt with ovals, he's going to actually be a playoff contender. I don't think he'll be a first round exit. What do you guys think about?
I can.
Well, I'll
I
tell
can
you
pipe
what,
up, or-
freezing
there you go.
Massie. Here's what I feel. Man, Massie's just standing
That-
completely still. That's really
that's gonna be
impressive.
Mannequin
another-
challenge is back.
That's
Wow,
another
he's
screenshot.
nailing it. He's nailing it, man. Holy
Yeah.
cow!
You know, this is literally like every week. I have like screenshots in
Is it
my
really?
Because
MacBook.
he lives like in a cave in the Appalachians. Like that's
something like that.
He's
You know,
even got the
everything
mountain
about-
man beard.
Everything about that makes sense.
Yeah, it really does.
It really does. It really does. You look at him and you're like, oh yeah, Virginia. Like
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah, if
Appalachian.
Virginia were a person,
Well, it made more sense when he had the big long beard. He shaved it.
Oh
and
man,
everything.
but that'll be back in like 2
it's
weeks.
a lot more.
Time
It's a lot
anyway.
more neat and tidy now. Though.
Exactly.
It is. It
Yeah,
is. It is.
exactly.
Yeah. You should see him without a beard. It's actually
Oh, there he
horrifying.
goes.
There he goes.
Oh,
yeah.
he gone. Oh,
Yeah,
he
the
gone.
Wendigos got him. That's okay.
Yep.
That's okay.
Yep.
Well, R.I.P. Massie. We'll continue on that topic though. If I may, I'll actually go first. This should be absolutely horrifying for the entire field. I'm not even talking about just this week. I'm talking about last week too. Before he got wrecked, Shane Van Gisbergen was in the top 10. Like actually in the top 10, like running in the top 10 on speed alone. And it's horrifying because, you know, you hear about, oh, he's got to learn these ovals. And it's like, yeah, okay. Like, I never really thought that he was going to learn. I always kind of thought he was just going to be a full-time road course ringer, like kind of like Montoya. And Massie's back. How about that? That's so incredible.
There he is. He's back.
Massie, how'd you fight off the Wendigos?
I had to go outside and my satellite internet here. I had to fight off a grizzly bear.
Oh,
off the
God.
satellite.
Oh,
You did that
God.
kind of fast. You might want
Yeah.
to make sure, like, you actually defeated it. Well, anyway, speaking of grizzly bear, Shane Van Gisbergen, like, so
Sure.
yeah, no, but like, I mean, he's kind of horrifying in New Hampshire. He was running in the top 10 consistently, and I feel like all this talk about him learning, I never really kind of believed it, but I think it's actually true. I think it's actually coming true. You go back. I go back to the phrase of you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, they're kind of doing it, especially with Shane. I feel like he's actually legitimately gotten better on the ovals as the year has progressed. And like you said, Massie, I feel like next year he is a threat. Like I think, you know, maybe not top 5, top 10 on a consistent basis, like say Denny Hamlin, but I think there is, you know, a potential for a top 10, top 5 maybe here and there. And of course, he's just going to kick everyone's butt on the road courses, and that'll be a playoff berth. And if he can survive the round of 16 into the ROVAL, I don't know, man. That's kind of horrifying for the rest of the field. Like we're talking about like an immediate round of 8 playoff berth. So, I am very impressed with how he has performed, and I guess we should probably bring up the fact that we're going into another road course where we have let's see, 1, 2, realistically 3 drivers are kind of like in must-win situations. So, are those 3 drivers SOL? Kind of curious. Ryan, what do you think?
Yes.
Ooh,
I'm also
ooh.
gonna say.
Great analysis.
I'm also gonna say this. Shane Van Gisbergen is one of those talents who has driven everything under the sun and excelled. He has driven supercars and excelled. He's driven sprint cars and excelled. He's competed in drifting and has excelled. He's raced in NASCAR now and has excelled. And I'm so tired of the narrative that some fans have. It's like, oh, well, he only wins on road courses. He, you know, blah, blah, blah. Dude won 4 races this year. And on top of that, he also went to Chicago in Xfinity and whooped on him there. Him and Zilich put on a heck of a show at Sonoma in Xfinity. And Zilich, when you get him to the road courses and once he gets comfortable in that next gen, watch out for him.
Oh, it's going to be so fun.
Yeah,
Next year, that is going to be awesome.
He is going to be the next dude. I know it already. But I'm so tired of the narrative that some fans have and that where they're like, oh, it doesn't matter. He's, you know, he's not a NASCAR driver. He's just a road course guy. No, this dude exudes NASCAR. He is learning the craft every single week and getting better at it. And you mentioned how scary it is that he is getting those top 10s and having that speed. Look at the 2 tracks he was running that at. New Hampshire and Kansas. You couldn't have 2 more radically different racetracks. You have a flat kind of multi-groove 1 mile or oval where it's a short race is like a short track. You're kind of downshifting, heavy on the brake. And you got Kansas where you're breathing the throttle in those next gen cars, maybe lifting. I shouldn't say maybe lifting. You're lifting, qualifying. You're holding the throttle pretty good. So back to what we were talking about, and even at the super speedways, there's a lot of times at the speedways this year where he was fighting for the lead legitimately. So at the end of the day, this dude has gone from running minimal stock car racing to being a legitimate threat, possibly being a legitimate threat every week next year. And now he's completely frightening at road courses. So, yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah, I do think that, the guys that have to win this weekend are not in a good situation, like you said, Dalton, because, like you said, Ryan, because SVG, and then even if for some reason he has an off day, you've got AJ Allmendinger in the field, who's really good at the ROVAL. It's won there a bunch of times in Xfinity, won there in Cup. So it's kind of a 1A, 1B situation for that track. The one guy I could see that's really needing a good result, benefiting from SVG, is Ross Chastain, because it feels like since SVG has joined Trackhouse that the whole program has been elevated. We've seen Ross have some really good runs on road courses, and maybe we see a situation where like SVG is about to win the stage and Ross is winning second, and so SVG decides to pit to flip it or something like that, so he can get the stage win or something like that. I don't know. I don't know how legal that is or anything, but
I trust Ross Chastain at the ROVAL a lot more than I trust Joey Logano.
Something's gonna happen to Joey. It's something is going to. You just know it. It's an odd
year. It's an odd year. He can't win it.
Oh, trust me.
That's a good point.
The guy that is on the lower left definitely is telling all of us.
Watch Ross make it, and then he just suddenly DQs like 3 hours after the checker flag. Oh my god!
Conspiracy theory, you.
That's not a conspiracy theory. I'm just saying, like that's what happened last year.
Oh, gosh. Couple things.
Brian, is that Gianti?
That's Genti. He had surgery.
Gianti?
Yeah, he had surgery on Monday. So
for the listeners, that's Brian's French bulldog that has joined the podcast. Now.
He had surgery on Monday, so being a little bit of a dad / podcast host. So hanging out with a little bit of a guy that's a little bit of in pain.
That's him. That's the noise that he's making right now.
Oh yeah. But I was doing some notes. Thank you, Genti. 14th at Charlotte, 19th at Indy, 14th at Richmond, and 10th at Kansas for a road course guy. Not too shabby. And I feel like what one of you three said, he's going to get better and he's going to get better. I don't think he's going to win next year on an oval, but I do think those 14th, those 10ths, those are going to be maybe 6th, 8th, 9th. And he's just going to get better and he's going to get better. And when it's all said and done, maybe a few years down the road, I do think he's going to be in contention, maybe out of Kansas or in Chicago for Chicago land, I should say. He's going there for the first time next year, but maybe down the road. I don't think he will be in victory lane on an oval yet, but he is going to get better and better. And I feel like maybe down the road, you never know. He could find a victory lane one of these days there.
And one more point. We talk about Juan Pablo Montoya and how good he was at road courses, and people thought he was just going to be a road ringer. Remember, he fought for a championship one year under the chase format. Like he legit was consistent enough on ovals too to where he was a legitimate championship threat one year. So that's something that people forget a lot, and I think that's a situation that we're going to see with Shane.
His first top 5 on an oval was Atlanta. I think it was like his 5th race on an oval. If I'm not mistaken, he got 4th in 2007.
I don't think his cars were ever that great either.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he's from Chip Ganassi.
Yeah.
Was never that. I mean, 2010 they're pretty good, but like aside from that,
in another thing I'll bring up. I'm sorry, Massie, were you
No,
I don't want to cut you off. I feel like you get cut off a lot. SVG, watch him at the Martinsville. Like, I don't know what it is about. Well, I actually kind of do. It's a hairpin. It's 2 hairpins, right? Like, but Martinsville seems to reward road course ringers.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's why we see a lot of road course ringers do well there. AJ Allmendinger has done really well there in the past. Ryan, can you be considered like a road course ringer at this point? Like,
I guess.
I guess, right?
I don't know.
We'll see.
I don't know what the heck I am at this point.
You're a driver of things.
I'm a
Driver of things.
Driver
Ryan
of
Vargas,
things.
driver
Yeah.
of things.
Maybe Ryan can explain why is Martinsville so good for road course ringers.
So, I wish I had a legitimate answer to that, but I don't know because Martinsville is such a weird track. It's not your typical short track. It's kind of its own beast. The way you drive it. In a sense, it is, kind of a hairpin in a sense, but the way you have to drive it, the way you enter those corners, it's very much a straight line braking, rolling the center, driving hard off the corner. And that's a thing that you do in road course racing. Trail braking is not really a thing you do in road racing. What we do in NASCAR, where we're on the brake, dragging a little bit of brake to set the nose to the center of the corner, they don't do that. You don't do that in road racing. You are heavy braking, down through the gears and turning it. That's what you do at Martinsville. And so that's why I believe that you see guys like AJ and you see guys like Shane and Juan Pablo Montoya, Marcos Ambrose. That's why you see guys like them perform a lot better at those ovals than your traditional oval, just because it's a lot like that.
Before we go any further, we've had a bunch of comments, so I thought I would share some. Ryan Noah Coleman says he's so proud of you. So you got one.
Cool. Thank you.
You got the Stig says you're a European superstar as well. So, but the Stig also said a really good point.
Stig.
He said it is important Shane is showing as much progress as he has because his value as a full-time ringer could vary wildly with whatever NASCAR does next year with the playoffs. That's a great point because we've heard so much rumors about the playoffs changing. What happens if the win in your in format goes away? What is his? I'm not saying his value, but the stigma of him at Trackhouse is a little bit different if the win in your in is gone, Massie.
Yeah, I think that if they do get rid of win in your in, I think they're going to go to a system where wins at least get more points than they do now. So it would still be like when you go to those road courses, he'd get a huge bump in points. At least that's what I'm hoping. If it does go to like full season or something like that, that wins. I mean, I think they should be double second place points. Like, I guess second place gets 35 now. I think it should be like
70.
Yeah, because it should not be possible for somebody to like win the stages, finish second, and get more points than the race winner. I don't like that. So if they did go to that, I think it would be like a huge boost for him in points. And he's getting better at the ovals now, very consistent. So I still think he'd be, a contender to be top 16 in points, maybe even top 10 in points. I don't think he's gonna be chasing a champion, like a real championship threat next year, but he's getting there. He's not too far off. So that's just my thoughts on it.
James Krause says that Ryan and him need to start a Juan Pablo apologist club. So
thank you.
Apparently, there you go. Sorry, Noah. Apparently, Noah Coleman is talking about Shane, not you. But he does say he is proud of you too. So sorry about that, Noah. Any final thoughts on SVG before we dive on into the last week in Kansas?
I will say this. I will say, no matter what the format, it doesn't change a damn thing about Shane's deservedness in the Cup Series. If you have a guy that's able to go and win 4 races in a season, that's the value. It doesn't matter. I mean, look at Denny Hamlin. He doesn't have a championship, but he's won 59 races at the top level, and he's seen as one of the greatest of all time. Shane Van Gisbergen, at the rate that he's having, if he's in the Cup Series for another 5, 6, 7, 8 years and wins at minimum once or twice a year, he's going to set himself a Hall of Fame career. Plain and simple.
I wonder if he's already there.
I would almost argue it.
Oh my!
Because Trenton's listening right now, but like he brought up that point long time ago after he won. What was it, 4 races this year? Like
I think it was what after
he already
Mexico
set
City,
the record,
or was it after Watkins Glen?
I think it might have been after Chicago, or no, I think it was after Watkins Glen. I'm not sure.
Trenton here. I was talking about it in the context of him being the winningest international driver.
Oh, yes.
Thanks God.
And,
yeah, well,
and his win count as a rookie as well. So if he's on that pace, he's going to.
But there you go. That's two records that were
demolished.
77 years in the making, shattered in the same year.
Yep.
I don't know, man.
No matter the format, it doesn't change a damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what else is pretty awesome, just like Shane Van Gisbergen? Oh, hi. Hello. That is My Place Hotels. Yes, folks, My Place Hotels is the official hotel sponsor of frontstretch.com. Plush beds, pet-friendly rooms. My Place makes it for the perfect stay. Dalton, you stayed at a My Place this past weekend. Wasn't it amazing?
It was outstanding.
I love it.
It absolutely outstanding. And you know what else? You know, we talk about the plush beds and how they were pet-friendly, but you know what else? I have been to 4 My Place hotels this year. At every single one of them, I don't know what it is, but at every single one of them, the employees are so friendly.
That is
like
true.
All the time.
Indianapolis, we had a great one.
Outstanding. Like I go to hotels all the time. It's between like my army stuff and the racing stuff. Like I go to hotels maybe about like 20 weekends out of the year, and that is like I see them all the time. And I got to be honest, My Place Hotels clears the rest of them when it comes to like employee friendliness and the beds too. But I mean that's the beds ultimately the beds. Also, our location this weekend was superb. It was right next to this nice restaurant that Danny Peters and I went to every night. Had a good time.
I love it. Once again, if you want to be like us and be in a fantastic hotel, use My Place. Once again, 10% off nationwide. All you got to do is use the code FRONTSTRETCH for the end of the racing season. Well, make sure you make My Place your place. Even during non-racing season, you want to go on vacation, there's a My Place, just use that code FRONTSTRETCH and get 10% off your next stay. Let's dive on into our second topic of the evening. Denny Hamlin. He once again made some noise. He did not get into a battle with his teammate, but he got into a battle with one of his drivers. Last 2 laps to go, him, Bubba Wallace battling it out, or was it last time? It was in overtime. I know that. Overtime, him, Bubba Wallace battling it out, and Toyota, they were running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they did not win the race. And lucky for Chase Elliott fans, I know we had some in the comments. Billy, he was pumped. Kenneth Clark, he was pumped. John Ray, he was pumped. They were all pumped. But was the move that Denny Hamlin did, was it fair or was it foul? Obviously, he is a driver first. Like he said in his podcast, Monday through Saturday, he's a team owner. On Sunday, he's the driver with the number 11. So it's up to you guys. Was the move that Denny Hamlin did, was it fair or was it foul? Vargas, you can start us off.
There wasn't a single thing wrong with anything that happened on that last lap. And if you want to sit here and try and convince me otherwise, then you're going to be talking to a brick wall. Denny, they didn't wreck. He pushed him wide. And look, Denny's staring 60 down the barrel right now. He's staring 60 wins. He's staring at advancement into the next round of the playoffs, which he has enough points. He's going to be most likely fine. And then you have Bubba, who's driving the heck out of that car. Remember, he did the same to Christopher Bell. He shoved him wide, arguably not as egregious as Denny did, but he shoved him wide, and he ended up getting up into the fence, got him arrow tight. But that's racing. Yeah, that's what we grew up wanting, was guys to get their elbows out, not be afraid to, uproot a guy out of the way. And with this car, it has allowed us to do that. This car has allowed us to do that. As many of the shortcomings as this car has, which, we've all talked about it. It's been talked about on the internet to death. But one of the things that this car has allowed us to do is to have those side-by-side battles where you can get up into each other. And I don't think a single thing that Denny did was wrong. I mean, he's not going into that corner as a team owner. He's there as a race car driver, not a team owner. And and here's the other thing, and he said it on his podcast, and I've said it before. if he was to go into the corner and let Bubba have the space, imagine the uproar if he did that. It's a lose-lose situation there. I think Denny did everything correct there.
As someone that was there, Dalton, how do you feel?
I think he disagrees.
I think go ahead and call him an idiot, Ryan.
I think he's trying to he's trying to figure out how to say the words carefully and constructively.
Yep. It's okay to be wrong.
I'm gonna lose this battle.
Well,
Go ahead, Brian.
Okay. If you want to, we can go to the comments while you're still trying to figure out the words. Noah Coleman says Bubba and Ty didn't get on the bandwagon. Paul,
They got ran over by it.
Yeah, exactly. One of our favorites on the watch party, Paul, says, if you're Denny Hamlin, it was good if you're selfish. It was good if you're part of Joe Gibbs Racing. It was good if you're not. It wasn't a cheap move. That's the part that I am leaning towards, Dalton, because he drives for Joe Gibbs. He doesn't drive for 2311. Sure, he owns 2311 or part owner, but on Sundays he suits up for Joe Gibbs and that number 11 team. And how would you feel if you were Chris Gale or anyone on that 11 team and you saw that 23 just go past you and you didn't even give them a fight? I'd be pretty pissed off if I was.
Doesn't matter.
Them. Oh,
doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. He's gonna make the round of 8 anyway. It doesn't matter. It does not matter if you race for Joe Gibbs.
But what if he piles into the Tums heartburn turn and lap 1, turn 1, and gets 0 stage points, 0 everything?
But he didn't.
But what if he does this weekend?
But what if he does this weekend? He won't.
But what if?
But he's, what is it, 48 points ahead?
That could be lost.
It's not.
If there's a new winner.
It's not. He's gonna be fine.
Massie said it best. What if there's a new winner?
Yeah, if there's a new winner, then it could a guy below
the
cut line wins.
He's not 8th place in points right now. Look, this is.
But if he gets 1 point on this Sunday,
what if a meteor crashes down onto Earth and strikes the 11 car?
You know, it's funny you say that. That's a statement that I had to learn when I was racing with Landon Castle.
Oh my god!
Shout out Landon Castle.
All right, look, I'm gonna lose this battle, but I don't care. It makes for a good podcast. Yeah, look. Okay. Let's get this out of the way. The excuse of, well, imagine if he just let him go, what would the repercussions would be enormous. No, it wouldn't. Who cares?
Are you out of your mind?
Dale Earnhardt let Michael Waltrip and Dale Jr. sit in front of him for the entirety of the last few laps of the Daytona 500, and everyone considers him a hero.
Michael, do not say it. I know what you're about to say. Do not say it, Massie. Exactly.
We're not gonna go. But that's the end of my point for that. Okay. Secondly, he's 20. He is the team owner for 2311. Yes, I know he's a race car driver, and you have every right to go for the win. I 100% agree. You should go for the win. However, the way he did it was wrong, and he admitted it. He admitted that it was wrong. He even said on his podcast, he said to me after the race into my microphone, I was holding in front of him. You can see the video on frontrush.com. He said, I should have gone lower. I should have not used the middle lane. And the way he explained it on his podcast was, oh, I didn't know he was there. Denny, you were in the middle lane. He was on the outside. Where else would he be? He can't teleport. Like, that's not how that works. I digress. He is the team owner for 2311 Racing. Now, I understand that he's got to be Bubba Wallace. Okay, that's one guy. But talk about his crew, his pit crew, his crew chief, Bubba's PR, everybody else that supports Bubba Wallace's race team, all of 2311. Now they're not going to make the round of 8 because of that. And Bubba Wallace was going to beat him in that corner because he had the outside lane.
There's a chance he still could, but carry on.
But he's not going to.
There's a chance.
But he's not going to.
There is a chance.
And if he does, I'll eat my own foot next week. Okay?
God.
Not literally.
I
will not literally do that.
Block it. 44 minutes, Trenton.
How about like a pie to the face? That'd be
There it
easier.
is, yeah.
Be more
Oh
fun.
man, okay. You know what? You're on.
Pie to the face. Okay.
You're on. Yeah, clip it. You know what? I'll enjoy it. Even if I'm wrong, I'll enjoy it. So okay.
Well, while y'all are talking about pies to faces, I do have a question for y'all regarding this, and I did not hear it on the podcast this weekend. I may ask Denny this weekend at the ROVAL, since I'll be there covering it. But I want the name no one's throwing around is Michael Jordan, the guy that signs the checks.
Great call.
What is Michael Jordan thinking about all this? I guess he's not a driver; he's an owner that wants to win.
That is a fantastic point.
He's an owner that wants to win, but he also respects somebody who is competing for a win. And he respects Denny Hamlin's competition. I think that's part of why he partnered up with him. So I respect I respect the hell out of Denny Hamlin because of the level of competitiveness that he has. He is very competitive, and I respect that. I love that he does go for the win, but you have hundreds of employees behind that car that you just put in the wall that you employ. You signed their paychecks. What are they going to think when he goes into airspeed today? Well, today,
he's not thinking that at that moment. He's thinking
but he should.
6.
But he should.
He's a race car driver.
Hundreds of employees that don't even know they're going to be.
Through Saturday, he is a owner. Sunday, he is a race car driver.
Hundreds of employees that don't even know if they're going to be employed next year. And he just eliminated any chance of them making the championship.
He is not thinking of that at that moment.
I don't care. Yeah. As soon as he got out of that car, he should have apologized. Because that was a risky move. He knew he didn't have power steering, and he even said it. He didn't have power steering. He couldn't turn hard enough, and he knew that. He right in the middle corner as Bubba Wallace was leaning on him, and they both went into the wall. I wouldn't even be that upset if Denny still won the race. But he cost them both the win. So now nobody's happy.
Well, I think Michael Jordan would say that Denny has cost him more on a golf course than he cost them on Sunday, probably, because that's what he said about the whole charter deal in the court documents. Look, you bring up the Dale Earnhardt thing. I've always had a problem with that, and I'm probably going to get canceled for saying this.
Yeah,
what?
But you're marked for death.
He owed it to Richard Childress, his crew chief, his crew, Good Wrench, to go for that win in the 2001 Daytona 500, and he was not going for that win. And I feel like it's a conflict of interest. It was a conflict of interest then. It's a conflict of interest now. And if you're going to have a conflict of interest, you better not let it get in the way of what you're doing. It's the same way that, having Jeff Gordon in the booth, people were like, oh, he's favoring the Hendrick cars while he's up there. Like, if anything, in a situation like that, Gordon needs to be harder on the Hendrick cars than anyone else so that people don't show that you don't catch on that there's a conflict of interest. Denny should be racing 2311 cars harder than anyone else to show that there's no conflict of interest. And it's a move that we have seen him do to beat Kyle Larson at Pocono, to beat Ross Chastain at Pocono before he got disqualified. It's the whole, you better lift or you're going to hit the wall. And Bubba didn't lift and Bubba hit the wall.
Because somebody was shoving him into it.
He could have lifted. He could have lifted and tried to get back
couldn't.
Maybe. You don't know. But yeah, I just think it comes down to there's way too many conflicts of interest in NASCAR. And this is one of those moments where it reared its ugly head. And I appreciate that Denny did not let that conflict of interest get in the way of the racing product. Because if he takes it easy on Bubba, if he doesn't try a move that he wouldn't do to other drivers, then that's race manipulation. I mean, that to me, that's just as bad as the Chevy cars blocking for William Byron at Martinsville last year. Like, it's just not a good look. So for the legitimacy of the sport, I am happy that Denny did that. Now, did he mess up the move? Yes.
Yeah.
But he needed to try it.
It is just wild. Vargas, really, it is just wild that you had 5 Toyotas 1 through 5 and they still lost. That's wild to me. Sorry, Vargas.
No, you're good. I have one more thought, and it's the fact that, look, was Denny's move, 100% completely clean, good racing? I'd say across the line a little bit. He definitely shoved him up into the wall, but he didn't wreck him. Again, like I said, there's a difference between hard, aggressive, maybe a little too much racing, and I think that was it. I think if Denny had gone and done 2% more of that, you would be telling a different story here. So it was pushing it. It was excessive. It was aggressive. But I still stand very firm in the fact that it wasn't wrong. And I don't really think Denny needs to apologize. Are there things that could have been different? Absolutely. You could have said to Denny, hey, lift Suter and wrap the bottom better. You could also say to Bubba, hey, don't put it on your boss's door because he's going to get aero tight, because we know that's how these cars work. Yeah. So there's several factors here. Bubba entered the corner on Denny's door. They were not going to make the corner. Didn't matter what happened from the time they both got off the throttle. They were going to hit the wall. That's just the way that car works. It's the way when you get in that circle of death there, where you're tight, aero tight. And I cannot stress to anybody who's never felt it how insurmountable it is when you are aero tight to turn a race car. It is so hard. And I think they both were just in that zone where they got caught out. And I think like I said, was it a bit aggressive? Was it a bit much? Sure. I don't think it was wrong. And I'm one of those dudes who hates seeing race cars get damaged. So that's my thought process.
Last thing before we move on, because we are running a little bit behind schedule, but hey, it's all good because this was a fascinating conversation. James Krause said it best: if either Christopher Bell wins, this is close to a non-issue. The fact that he took 2 Toyotas out of a chance to win and essentially handed it to a Chevy is where the main issue lies. And that's true. If Reddick won, if Briscoe won, if Bell won, it would be a non-issue. But the fact that Chase Elliott came all the way from, 10th? He came from 10th to win. That is what the issue is. And I'm with James on this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Massie, you want to end it? It feels like you want to say something.
No, I actually don't.
Oh, okay. Okay. Apparently, I still have to try and read you correctly. We don't have that telepathic communication.
No, we did on another thing. I was reading
okay, good. Okay, good.
About what I wanted to say that I did not say earlier.
Okay, good. Moving on to our final topic. It is unfortunately going to end it on a kind of a end note. But according to Adam Stern, once again, USA Network got a 0.79 rating and 1.490 million viewers for Sunday's NASCAR Cup Series race at Kansas, off from 0.96 and 1.8 last year. However, it was still good enough to make NASCAR the number 2 sport of the day on cable, behind the NFL game in Ireland, which was on the NFL Network. So, with that being said, how much of a concern, probably scaled 1 to 10, is this, Massie? Oh, Vargas, you want to go first? Go for it. How big of a concern is this?
I think it's a concern. I think it's absolutely a concern, especially when the drop in ratings is 300,000 people, right? That is the drop in ratings there. And all season long, up until the playoffs, up until I think it was Daytona or the race just before it, we were seeing, it was leveled out. A couple good handful of races were above, and then suddenly you get to this last part of the season and this starts happening. Now football absolutely has just completely reigned supreme this time of year right now. They're seeing record viewership. And I think that just kind of comes from the fact that I think a lot of people are kind of tired right now. We're in this weird lull point where the legitimacy of our playoffs, the legitimacy of our championship, that how we crown a champion, is always brought into question. And I said it yesterday on online. It is so incredibly frustrating that we can have one of the best finishes in NASCAR history. That was one of the best finishes in NASCAR history right there. One of the best, most entertaining finishes. And you will still have people online complaining about how the first half of the race sucked, this car stinks, everything about the sport stinks, and they hate stage racing. God, let's just have some fun. I mean, Jiminy Crickets, this is some of the best stuff we've seen. I'm not saying that the racing product is always the best. There is very fundamental issues that are wrong, but I'm saying these moments like this, we need to appreciate them in the moment. And I will also say, and maybe this is a personal thing, maybe it's someone else, and I'm not going to say anything to disparage our TV partners and stuff like that. But I look at what the CW's done with the NASCAR Xfinity Series, soon to be the O'Reilly Series, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. I am on multiple channels, I was sitting, I got my, I had a valve stem on my truck go out. So I had to go to tire repair shop down the road and get that fixed. I was sitting there. They were playing Jurassic Park on TV on whatever channel. I don't remember what it was. But then suddenly there was a commercial for the NASCAR Xfinity race on the CW. I've seen more commercials for NASCAR Xfinity on the CW than I have for any of the Cup races this year. I didn't see a single commercial for Kansas, but I saw like 3 or 4 leading up to it about the CW. So I don't know if it's a marketing effort thing. I don't know if it's something like that, but I feel like the publicity for where NASCAR is, what channel it's on, it's almost taken a step back. I don't want to say that they've done a bad job, but I feel like there's just been less. And I don't know if that's a true statement. I could be just completely talking out of my rear here. But I think you're talking about the two sides of a coin here. You have the promotion that the CW is doing, and you have the promotion of what's going on. And I also will say, I will echo Denny's point, USA isn't really seen as a sports network. And I think that once they switched from NBC Sports and NBC to having these races on USA. And again, the show is freaking awesome. Lee Diffie's calls will continuously go down as some of the best calls in motor racing. But you put on the CW and then the race ends and the next thing on TV is a crime drama. Not recapping the latest NFL game, not recapping the race, not recapping, the latest college football, whatever the heck is going on. It's crime shows, it's TV shows, it's soaps, it's dramas. We're racing, we're promoting our sport on a network that isn't a sports network. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like we need to evaluate how we go about that.
In the criminal justice system, sexually based offenses are considered especially heinous.
Yes, there was one race where that came on after a race, and I was like what a vibe change.
I will say I haven't seen. I was looking for before we started the ratings for the Xfinity race this past weekend. I couldn't find it, but we are dangerously close to Xfinity having higher ratings than Cup, because CW has been hovering right around the million mark for all year, and now USA, what was it, 1.5, 1.4? So we're getting really close to that. Gentlemen, since Talladega in April, how many races do you think have been on network TV that you could get with their bunny ears?
I would say, I think there hasn't been, I think, wasn't Bristol Night Race on NBC? Wasn't it on big NBC?
No, it's only been one.
What?
I want to say that. Let me check. Hold on.
It's only been one. It's been Daytona is the only the summer Daytona, August Daytona is the only network race since Talladega in the spring.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you need races on network on a Sunday to catch people's attention, and then you can have the next 3 on cable or whatever. Yeah. It's almost like you should have, when the Gateway race was happening, Dalton, we were looking at the USA Network, and before the race started, they had the USA Network on in the media center, and it had a huge graphic for the first Sunday night football game of the year on NBC, Ravens-Bills. Didn't have anything about the race that was about to start. Mm-hmm. That race, you could have put it before that Bills-Ravens game, before the first Sunday night football game of the year, had a big rating spike. Then you catch people's attention, have the next couple of races on USA Network. You tell them about it. Another thing that's not helping is during the Packers Cowboys Sunday Night Football game. They showed an advertisement for next week's Cup race. You know what it said? New Hampshire, 2 p.m.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
They're advertising the races. They don't even know what's going on over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's NBC. It's them screwing things up here. I hate to throw them under the bus because, like you said, Ryan, they do such a good job with broadcasting these races, but it's like the marketing department who's making the decisions of where to put the races and all that. Like, they're just not doing they're not doing right by NASCAR. I'm sure they're doing great jobs and other things, but they're not doing right by the Cup Series. And that makes me sad.
There's 9 network races. There's 9 races on network TV. 5 out of the 9 were on Fox. And then it will be, like Massie said, Daytona. And then Talladega, Martinsville, Phoenix will be on NBC. And that's it. And I think that one last thing, I think the biggest thing, and Denny said it best, is we're having to find so many. We had to find the CW. We had to find, and James said it best. They look for the most money in their TV rights deals. I mean, you have to find Fox. You got to find True TV. You got to find Prime. You have to find TNT. You got to find NBC. You got to find FS1. There's so many. Well, Xfinity. You got to find CW. You got to find CW. You got to find CW. One thing, the entire season, that's it. Meanwhile, in Cup, you got to find 18 different things. And it feels like that NASCAR just was like, oh, let's make the most money and not the most eyes.
My counter to that is the TV rights deals pay more when their ratings are higher. That's why ratings matter. That like, I know we just signed one, but when does this one expire? In
7 years. 7 years from now.
7 years from now.
So 2032.
I mean, if this, I mean, I know it's a slow decline, but if the decline continues for 7 more years, where are we going to be? Is F1 going to overtake it? Is Xfinity going to overtake it? Like, if that's the case, I mean, what is the TV rights deal going to look like? It's not going to be as high as it is right now. So that's why this stuff matters. And I almost want to say, like, oh, maybe it's just because all of sports are on a decline right now, but it's not true. I mean, NFL, football is continuously breaking records.
Baseball just had higher ratings this year across the board.
I mean, IndyCar is having one of the best years it's had in a very long time, and I think it's because they've got a great partner in Fox. Or at least Fox is a great partner to them. So you have to be a little cautious. And I wonder, and I see so many comments, and Ryan, I actually would love to hear your thoughts on this. I see so many comments about, well, we just need to get rid of the playoffs because people will come back if we don't have the playoffs anymore, and if we have like a season-long format. I agree, Brian. I don't think that's true. I think it gets worse, actually. I think it gets worse. I think what we're seeing right now is the playoff reaction, and it's just the fact that the decline is just so strong that the playoffs just can't offset it. It can't offset it. So that's what scares the hell out of me. And I agree with the rest of you guys' points. I think that there is something to be said about having races on cable, Cup races on cable network, and we're seeing the ratings so low. And you know what I kind of wish? Like, I feel like where we could like supplement all this. Like, the only time I didn't really care about the ratings this year was when it was on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
And Amazon Prime gave great coverage. So I'm wondering, as much as I kind of want to be like, about streaming, I don't know. Maybe that's the way to go.
And the ratings weren't terrible. The ratings weren't terrible.
Not at all.
I mean, let's just be real. They were actually about the same as what they are right now. If I remember correctly, they were in like the mid to low 1.5 mil. I think the highest was like 1.8 or 2 mil, which is, look, and I'm not going to be Captain Freaking Positive here, but we're still the number 2 on TV this weekend, right? We had a lot of football games going on, right? So you got to take the W's where you got to take them. But at the same time, back to your point, Dalton, I would love for a full season championship. I think a full season championship is much more easier to understand. I think it's easier for our fans. And I think overall, it eliminates the nuance of how this all goes. And every motorsport fan, and this is where there's two sides to this argument. They both lead to the same direction. You mentioned that NASCAR has playoffs and overtime. To a fan that doesn't watch NASCAR, they're going to say, really? Why? They don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to them. They don't understand why it's called a playoff. They don't understand why they don't understand what overtime means in racing. On the flip side of that, you have Formula One, you have IndyCar, you have all these major motorsport series, WEC, all these major motorsport series that do a season-long points format. And so it's easier for a motorsport fan of other motorsports. And I think that's something that NASCAR needs to consider. And I'm not saying this to, again, like for me, I liked the chase. And personally, I don't think the playoffs in its current iteration is the worst it's been. I still hate the single race championship. I think that was a bad decision. I think in theory, it's a great idea. In execution, it's just after we've had it for a while, it's not great. But like I said, I feel like to the average motorsport fan, and you like I listen to I watch a lot of other motorsports YouTubers. I listen to Josh Revel, Tomo F1, all that other stuff, and every so often they'll cover NASCAR. And they will have to spend several minutes explaining what the playoffs is, or explaining, or they'll end up, or you'll see these videos and they'll make a joke like, oh yeah, NASCAR with its convoluted points format. That doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be such a hard barrier of entry for somebody who doesn't watch cars going in circles like we do to get in. It should be straightforward. It should be what you see F1. Fans understand F1. They know that the top 10 get points. They know that top 10s are great results. They know that the winner is going to get the most points. And that's a lot more points than second. That's why whenever you see the McLaren drama, oh, they're favoring Oscar or favoring Lando, it actually matters. Yeah. Like it matters because that one position, it's not 1 point on track. It's several points. And so you still have to have winning matter. It still has to matter. I think every position higher on the track needs to be of the utmost importance. And I just think that it's hard to find that. And I don't. But again, is it going to translate to overnight growth? I don't know. But I think it's going to be easier for motorsports in general and sports fans in general to come in.
I was looking on the TV rating website. Sorry, Massie. Two things before I give it to you. The Dolphins and the Bills, and this is no disrespect to the Dolphins because my team's even worse, but the Dolphins are a putrid team. They got 16.7 million views. Sorry, Dalton. I know.
Whoa. Whoa.
Dalton, shut up.
The Dolphins, they swam under the Jets.
I hate you so much.
They beat them.
I despise you. The Dolphins and the
7 points.
The Dolphins and the Bills got 16.7 million views on Amazon.
It's a rivalry game.
No, it's not.
Dolphins and the Bills?
Yes,
rivals.
Division rivals.
Yeah.
Okay.
You even said that to me.
I said the Dolphins and the Jets.
No.
Oh. We're getting to it.
Okay. Anyway, but you want to know the reason why? Josh, well, besides, Thursday night, we need to watch football because we're psychopaths. Josh Allen, he's a superstar. You have superstars, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. I know he's injured, but still. You have up-and-comers like Bo Nix and everybody. NFL becomes a league where you can just, boom, become a superstar. Who's a superstar in NASCAR? Denny Hamlin?
Chase Elliott.
Chase Elliott has the personality of a dried plum.
Connor Zilic next year.
That is a good point. But the thing is, Trenton, he's not in Cup yet. Once he gets in Cup, maybe we'll see. But the thing is, there's no... Okay, shut up. Okay, blah, blah, blah.
Dolphins. That's not coming out very well, but Dolphins and Buffaloes are Buffalo's rivals. That's what it says right there, and that is from. Wait, let's see if I can get it.
Who's that from?
This guy. It's from Bryan Nolen.
Oh, no.
I hate you.
From this guy right there.
You better hide that before you see something worse.
Okay. Anyway, but the thing is, they can make superstars just like that. Where's the superstars in NASCAR? Denny's one. I mean, you got to start winning if you want to have another superstar. Carson Elsevier, if he starts winning, he's going to become one. But other than that, there's nothing. And then, like you were saying, Dalton, with IndyCar getting better ratings, how long are these races in F1? How long are these races in IndyCar? They're like 2 hours. We have attention spans of like circus animals in this generation. We can't just hang around and watch a 3.5 to 4 hour race, no matter how much Mikey Nev wants all races to be 500 miles. People will just tune it off. We need shorter races, as much as that is probably going to be. It's true though. We have the attention span of an ant.
I know.
Hey,
it sucks.
Races would be shorter if cautions didn't take 20 minutes, but
that's a story for a different day.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, the thing is, are we a highlight league? Like Adam Silver, the NBA says this is a highlight-based league, and sure as hell they got highlights. But I mean, do we want to go down that route? I mean,
no.
It's just, yeah. I'm with you, Ryan. I'm with you.
No, because you need a longer race for the storyline to develop. Like, I think if you start teetering under 400 miles, right, then you're not going to have Shane Van Gisbergen coming back from 2 laps down to get a top 10.
Yeah.
You're not going to have those moments anymore. You're not going to have these overtime moments. If that race this weekend was 30 laps shorter, Denny would have won by 2.5 seconds. Because I think the last yellow for Kyle Busch at the wall was up with like 24 to go. So we wouldn't be talking about one of the greatest finishes in NASCAR. So, yeah. That's
Massie,
my thought process.
You want to go, and then Trenton has one more question, and then we'll wrap this program up.
Yeah, so we're on the talk of ratings. One more thing I like to bring up to pay attention to this week and in the coming weeks. One is that NBC and YouTube TV are currently having contract disputes.
Mm-hmm.
So you subscribers of YouTube TV might go to look for the race this weekend.
Me and me both, Ryan.
You might not. The USA might not be available to you this weekend. We'll see if it gets resolved before that, but that's something that could impact ratings pretty greatly this coming week. And then the other thing is that Jeff Gluck tweeted that NBC is making like a spinoff company. I forget what it's called, but the USA Network is going to be part of that company. And if that happens, I do wonder how that's going to impact. Like, will they still be able to put races on the USA Network, or if NBC will need to come up with some other way to broadcast these races that aren't on big NBC? And that has me wondering. Peacock? I don't know. So yeah, that's just two things that I don't really have an answer for, but it's just two things to pay attention to as we go forward from here.
Versant. USA Network will be part of the spin-off company Versant and separate from NBC at the end of this year, according to Jeff Gluck.
Yeah. So I don't think it won't impact it this year, I guess, but maybe next year that becomes something.
So Ryan, my last question for you before we wrap up is, you're talking about the playoff format. How hard is it for the drivers you interact with in Europe and Canada and wherever else to understand what the Cup Series actually does in our playoff format versus what they do over there?
I mean, they all get it, but they all don't like it. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, they just don't. And again, this is coming from someone who I like stage racing. I think a playoff format can work as much as I would love to see a full season points format. I mean, Mark Martin has great valid points, and I agree with him. But I will also be I'm the biggest like middle of the road person, which sucks for arguments, right? Because I could see a version of the playoffs working, but I could also see a full season championship being significantly better in many ways. But at the end of the day, you know, they all look at this and they're like, what the heck are they doing? And that's been the thing that I've heard from a lot of people. And Euro NASCAR, they do have a playoffs, but it's not a playoffs. It's their final their final 4 rounds are just double points. I believe Mexico has adopted a playoff format though. If I'm not mistaken, somebody might have to check that for me.
It's only like 4 races.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it's one of those things where the overall consensus from those, especially those who have, been in the sport for as long as they have, even back in like the cast car days, they're kind of just sitting there like, what is this? Right. And you saw, truth be told, NASCAR Canada this year came down to a three car dogfight for a championship. You had Marc-Antoine Cameron, DJ Kennington, Andrew Ranger, 3 of arguably the best NASCAR Canada Series drivers at this time, and guys who are going to go down in history up in Canada and really in stock car racing in general, fighting it out for a championship in a season-long format. And that's in today's day. So there's points to be made on every side. You could even argue, and this is a can of worms that I'm going to open, and then we're going to have to close it real close, and then we're going to wrap it.
Of course you are. Of course you are, Vargas.
But do we see this crazy finish on Sunday without the playoffs? And I don't think we do.
Great point. Really good point. I don't think we do either. Finishing off with what Noah Coleman said on our YouTube, the most famous driver we have is Bubba Wallace. He's not wrong. He is not wrong at all. So with that being said, Dalton, you were at the race this past weekend. Are you going to be riding anything in the upcoming future? And then when is your next race?
I am thinking. Oh no, I have an article coming out tomorrow night / Thursday morning on Nick Sanchez.
Nicky Bobby.
That's right. He came out, or he came to me, and we broke the news that he's going to be back with Big Machine Racing next year full time. So
good for him. Go
check out that article. And I spoke with him, sat down with him for about a solid 15 minutes, talked about college football and how he's a evil University of Miami fan. But that's coming out tomorrow night and Thursday morning. And I also got Thinking Out Loud this weekend for the ROVAL.
Michael Massie Jr. the third. Are you going to be cooking up anything?
Yeah, I'm writing a column, a Fire on Fridays column coming out on Fridays. I think we're right about the new marketing campaign that NASCAR just said they're launching. Adam Stern reported they're launching. The Hell Yeah campaign, I think it was called. So yeah, we're gonna take a look at that. And I don't know. Maybe that's gonna coincide with full season points because it's supposed to be like going back to the roots or something. I don't know. Otherwise, I think a point you've seen me making that article is like it'd be like me saying I'm a vegetarian and you still see me eating hamburgers. So, doing that, and then I don't have another race till Talladega. Not going to Talladega.
If there's not a Stone Cold reference in that article, you also will be getting a pie to the face next Tuesday. So I'm just saying that. Vargas, I'm pretty sure you are a spotter when at the road courses. If I'm mistaken, please correct me. So I assume you're going to be at Charlotte this upcoming week.
I will be. I tentatively am spotting. Okay. So unless plans change, but regardless, I'll be there. It's a home race. Yeah. I'm actually doing some spotting throughout the week and all that stuff. So just doing that, and then got some really cool stuff down the line that I can't really share at the moment. Cool racing related things, and just all different things out like within the world of motorsports. So just stay tuned to that because there's a lot of really, really cool things coming down the pipeline that I am excruciatingly excited to release and excited to share. Really good things.
Hell yeah, brother. I am off this weekend, but I will be back next week. I'll be in Vegas covering the race for French Rich along with our stat guy, Mr. Steven Stump. So that will be fun as we kick off the round of 8. But Vargas, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much, buddy. And we'll have you on, if not the end of this year, early next year, my friend.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
For Mr. Dalton Hopkins, Michael Massie, Ryan Vargas, I am Bryan Nolen. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Front Stretch Happy Hour program. Big thanks to our producer, Trenton Worsham. We will talk with you guys next Tuesday here on Happy Hour.